There, Marianne is still safe.
You
know how to contact me, yes?
Our dumb weeb child.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to 4pixels. Your hosts are here with Guess Buttons and Layflay from Cacophony of Games. We are continuing the letter, and we are on Rebecca's chapter.
and we're sure Kylie is talking to the ghost.
Kylie is
Yeah,
trouble
confirmed.
with a capital T. Luxbourne may be a small city, but it's no stranger to hellish rush hour traffic.
There's no one on the road.
Gonna
I don't
say,
want to hear it.
we should look at the journal entry.
No.
Damn buttons. Oh, look at that little art.
That is
That's
actually
So
really
cute. Rebecca
Look
Gales
at the
received
dichotomy.
fucking
God damn it, buttons.
people. All right, Friday, October 21st, Rebecca Gales received a phone call from Rose Cooper after class, asking her to pick up Isabella Santos from the Ermengarde mansion. On her way out of school, an excited Kylie Suarez stops her favorite teacher from leaving.
And then shanks her.
And then sings London Bridge is Falling Down.
While
Terrifying everybody.
shanking her.
Speaking of, apparently that song doesn't have a meaning rooted in anything.
Oh, well.
Like
what?
there's theories about, it being related to a Viking attack or a child sacrifice or an
What?
agent damage. The
Okay,
song is
wait.
called My Fair Lady.
Back,
Go
back the hell up. How the hell do you get child sacrifice out of London Bridge is Falling Down?
Yeah, go back
The
to the child
theory that-
sacrifice. What?
The theory that the song refers to the burying, perhaps alive, of children in the foundations of the bridge was first advanced by Alice Bertha Gome later Lady Gome in the traditional games of England, Scotland, and Ireland from 1894 to 1898, and perpetuated by usually skeptical Iona and Peter Opie. It literally says septical. So that may actually be a word
Oh,
instead of skeptical with a
okay.
K. This was based around the idea that the bridge would collapse unless the body of a human sacrifice were buried in its foundation, and that the watchman is actually a human sacrifice who will then watch over the bridge. However, there's no archaeological evidence for any human remains in the foundations of London Bridge.
That sounds like a troll.
Terrifying.
Like someone was just
Amazing.
like, yeah, we're gonna fuck with the tourists right now.
And then
Uh,
it make its way down generations.
If that's the case, then Miss Alice Bertha Gome, aka Lady Gome, or Gome, is responsible for that troll.
She's still laughing.
1894.
I give
I
a
feel
thumbs
like-
up to her.
Yeah, right. I feel like any child song though falls into that creepy category.
Oh yeah.
Which
Mhm.
one?
Any children's song.
Yeah.
Any
Like
nursery
Rockabye
rhyme.
Baby.
Yeah, just falls into that why the hell are children allowed to sing this category.
Like I always just remember the one from that Disney ride.
See, I just
one?
remember
The-
it
The
specifically
small
from.
world something.
Yeah, that
Oh,
was just fucking annoying.
oh,
So the
I
only
haven't heard that
context
in
I
15 years.
have-
Still hurts me.
Yep.
Ugh.
Only context I have for the London Bridge being a creepy song is, if I remember correctly, they were using it during the finale of the first season of Black Butler, in which London Bridge actually did fall down because of angels or some shit.
Dude, I don't even remember the ending of the first season of Black Butler.
Fucking-
That was just fucking weird.
Yeah, to be fair, that anime was meant to be weird.
Yeah. We'll talk about that after this. All right. Anyway, she's
But
going
surprise-
to not rush hour.
But surprisingly, getting out of the city today proves more of a breeze than a hassle. A relief considering how none of my calls to Isabella have made it through. Either the reception's really bad over there, or she's ignoring them on purpose. Both does nothing to ease the disquiet in me. The rest of my drive passes without much incident as soon as I'm out of the busy streets, The busy streets, completely chock full of cars.
There's like 2 cars.
In less than
Uh,
30 minutes, the mansion looms ahead of me. For all the fuss Isabella made about the house, it remains a thing of beauty. Unlike Luxbourne, the estate and nearby Anselm village stand as its complete opposite, living and breathing the songs of old, whispers of a once booming haven lingering in the air. Contemporary conveniences aside, it's a place I'm glad modernization hasn't wholly touched.
It's just a shame the locals know more of the silly hearsay than the history itself.
that's literally everywhere, though.
If I could only knock some sense into these people!
Sadly, complaining is all I can afford to do. As much as I want to give them a piece of my mind, it isn't why I'm here. I don't think these rich types will appreciate getting a lecture from me either. I have as much business with them as they have with me. With a heavy sigh, I give myself one last second to take in the scenery before heading up the main entrance. Actually, I am curious about one thing. I want to see what her branch looks like.
Mm-mm.
Mhm.
Yes, this makes many sense.
I just love
Well,
seeing how things diverge.
Jesus,
And
it's
hers
long.
is long, yeah.
Yeah,
Holy God, hers is long.
This is probably gonna take us like 5 or 6 recording sessions.
Okay, my finger's
oh
tired
god,
of
it keeps
scrolling.
going. But you're almost
You know what I
there.
was thinking about? Actually, we've crossed over with her so much previously that I bet that most of those branches have already been decided.
Yeah, probably.
Perhaps.
Most of the guests are already heading out. Though some still linger, it's mainly just to take photos of the house's facades or its various rooms. I pause for a moment, scanning the small crowd gathered at the foyer, looking for any sign of the familiar ponytail among the sea of hats and heads.
No sign of her.
No sign of the other staff or Miss Cooper either. I can certainly look for Isabella on my own, but in a place this big,
Just don't go to the attic.
I'd be lucky if I didn't end up lost or find her before we need to meet with Zachary and Ash tonight. I should look in the attic. Sighing, I reach for my mobile and redial her number, the gesture familiar now after so many attempts earlier.
Or maybe the wine cellar, that's also a good hiding spot, you know?
If she doesn't answer, I can still try contacting Miss Cooper. I just hope the network reception will cooperate this time. This side of the country has never been popular with the tech savvy after all. To my relief, it only took 3 unsuccessful tries. At the 4th one, right as is about to switch to another intercept message, the line finally rings. Silence follows while I wait for her to pick up, the ringing going far too long for my tastes. By now, most of the visitors have already cleared out. All I have for company are the faint murmurs and an eerie calmness left in their wake. A sudden hush settles and gives way to noises louder than they've ever meant to be. Doors creaking and slamming shut in some distant part of the mansion. Floorboards groaning under the sheer weight of the house's history. In the now empty hall, they all reverberate with special clarity against the walls. Like this, those old stories seem to almost have a ring of truth to it. I don't get to stray far into that ugly line of thought, however. Not a second later, a click sounds from the other end.
Hello? Isabella? Miss Cooper called earlier and... Isabella? Belle? Are you alright?
Without any warning, the call gets cut off. Busy notes blare sharply against the heavy silence. But above all, the noise cutting through the mute air remains the faint cries of a woman. From beyond the foyer. My hand falls to my side as I cast a wary look around, waiting for someone to come running. Surely I can't be the only one hearing this.
Wait, wait.
God, they didn't wait in this chapter. There must still be some staff hanging around, checking things out. But no one does. Not even when her sobs turn more frantic and anguished.
Excuse me? Hello? Who's there? Isabella? Isabella? Is that you?
No answer. Growing anxious, I amble over where her cries come from. Each
No.
step, slow and cautious, towards a door on the other end of the room. While I'm far from someone who readily gives in to fear or stories lacking factual basis, the vague, restless feeling I have earlier immediately returns to me. And despite myself, my heart begins to race and my breathing quickens.
Belle? Belle, it's me. Miss Cooper called. Is everything okay?
Abruptly, all of it stops. My whole body tenses, mouth dragging in a ragged breath, ears straining for any other sound yet to come from the other side. But nothing follows. Instead, the quiet only lends itself to the heavy tension in the air, as if every small movement will disturb the fragile stillness hanging in the air. The room. I wait for another second. Then, with caution, I reach for the knob. My fingers barely graze the brass handle when the hand falls on my shoulder.
Excuse me, ma'am? Oh, I am so sorry. I didn't mean to startle you.
No, it's a...
Still reeling, my gaze shifts back to the door, as if any second now the cries will start again, or whoever's inside will burst out of the room. But I don't get to dwell on these. The woman's worried voice breaks through the haze in my mind again, oddly soothing in the thick of my unease. Even if the concerned look comes from a total stranger, finally being in the company of someone else is somehow comforting.
Ma'am? Are you okay?
Oh, no, I'm fine. This is probably just some cold.
Do you need to sit down?
No need. I'm actually looking for a friend.
I wave the mobile in front of her, like the gesture alone explains everything. Vaguely, I note my tight grip on it and quickly slip it into my pocket before she notices. She doesn't need to know.
Well, I'm not really sure if your friend would still be here. We're actually about to close the open house in a few minutes, ma'am.
No worries. She's not a guest here. She works for Briar Realty. Miss Cooper called me earlier. In fact, I'm also looking for her.
Recognition flashes in her eyes and her worried expression dissolves into a smile at once. It's all I need to know that I don't have to look elsewhere or venture deeper into the mansion on my own. In some way, I'm not too keen on the latter right now.
Oh, Miss Rebecca Gales, is it?
Yes. Sorry if I'm a bit late.
It's not a problem. I was busy with the open house and a few clients anyway. It's actually a good thing you came when you did. Let's see. Isabella should be here somewhere. I told her to stay put earlier. Girl never listen.
Rose? Rosie? May I have a minute? There's just this one little thing before we go.
Miss Cooper's head immediately snaps up at the voice. In a blink, a different kind of smile spreads on her face. A smile still, friendly even, but the kind given mainly for the sake of pleasing other people rather than making friends.
Yes, ma'am. I'll be there in a few.
It's an impressive thing, to say the least. The level of professionalism. I suppose working years in this kind of business trains you enough to be able to pull that off without batting an eye. It certainly didn't seem to have rubbed off on Isabella, though.
Wow.
Sorry, could you give me a second? I have to take care of this.
Don't worry about it. I understand. I can wait a few more minutes. Clients, right?
You won't hear anything from me. Priorities, you know? But if you want, you can stay at the parlor in the meantime. I think we have a few refreshments left.
No, thank you. I'm going out with a few friends after this. Isabella's supposed to join us too. But that depends on how she's doing, of course.
Alright, this won't be long, I promise.
She throws me an apologetic look before sauntering over the small group gathered at the entrance. A couple, or siblings, and another woman, probably their secretary. Either way, they look no different from the other guests. All three of them primly dressed, albeit in a manner significantly simpler than others. No frills, no extravagance of any form. But their gestures and movements alone speak volumes of their ingrained lifestyles. In their presence, I do what I can to appear inconspicuous on my side of the foyer. Maybe accepting Miss Cooper's offer would have been a much better choice than standing around awkwardly and gaping at them. All while also attempting to do my best not to listen in on their conversation. Although that one proves more difficult with how enthusiastic the blonde woman is. Her voice easily echoes through the walls with only the five of us here. Pretty soon, I find myself being drawn into their talk without meaning to.
Tomorrow? First thing in the morning?
First thing in the morning, ma'am.
The mundane talk isn't what catches my attention, however.
Very well. We'll have our lawyers prepare everything as soon as possible. Let's make this whole thing easier for everyone, shall we? Just let me know if there's anything you need from me.
Their Marianne is still safe.
You know how to contact me, yes?
Our dumb weeb child.
Got your mobile number saved here already.
Good. It's just a matter of time then.
It's a brief moment.
Anyone notice the weird coloration behind Luke?
Yeah, I do.
I wasn't gonna mention that.
The smoky thing kind of stuff.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That aura? Yeah.
I hadn't noticed. Well done.
It's a ghost.
A fleeting shift of my eye.
Oh, so
One
spooky.
day for us, Marianne.
It's like this game hasn't had ghosts before.
There's something not connected properly behind him.
As
As long as you're positive, we won't be having any problems by that time. You can count on my team.
Oh, shots
You
fired!
worry too much. Let me handle
That's
those
what the ghost is
things.
for.
Do be thrilled, though. I imagine it's not every day you get projects like this, hmm?
And the instant I turn my gaze on him, I see it.
Oh, I'm certain Mint's ecstatic, Buttercup. Aren't you, Marianne?
What?
You see what? Why are you
You
calling?
know, we could all celebrate this with a few drinks. Why don't we?
What the?
In fact,
Marianne,
there's
slap
this
him.
really excellent Irish pub I visited a few days ago.
He is
Slap him!
He's intentionally antagonizing her.
Yep, look at that face. Looming,
What the shit?
hovering over his shoulders.
Fight,
You
fight.
know, I remember a while back I think it was in Zachary's, and I remembered this because the video recently went up. But when Zachary went over, or no, when I was editing it, but when Zachary went over to sort of warn the rights, we were also wondering about the black shadow behind Luke, and we were like, either there's something going on there, or this is just supposed to be one of those anime things. Which one is it? Well,
Now we know.
Once again.
Been our struggle this whole game. It's like, is this intentional or is it an anime thing?
hovering over his shoulders, drawn to him like a moth to a flame. A dark blur.
He's a
No.
ghost.
A shadow.
Ghost wants to kick his ass.
I think I'll pass on that, sir. I have more important matters to attend to.
Fucking drag him, baby girl.
Heather, love, she's busy.
Oh shit.
Now,
Oh,
okay,
shit.
now all of them are sounding muffled. Is this something with
That's not
Rebecca?
good.
It's not bad. You can still hear them, but it's definitely weird.
The game
But I
is
was gonna
starting
say,
to do a
Hannah-
staff review out. Sorry.
I was gonna say Hannah is so oblivious. You can kind of tell that she's just sitting here thinking that it's because he wants to go drinking, as opposed to he wants to go put his face between Marianne's thighs.
Well, same.
So again, thinking about it now, Luke wouldn't be that considerate. He'd probably just stick it in. fairness.
Okay, let's
Ugh.
move on. But as I try to make sense of it, a heavy feeling descends over my whole body. I'm gonna have to ask my friend about this if they experienced it. It happens without.
That is not where I thought this conversation was going.
It happens. What?
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 Because
What?
we
Please
just
explain.
left the conversation where Tori was like, he'd probably just stick it in, and then Coco goes, I'll have to ask my friend about this, and I'm like,
Jesus Christ. Coco's talking about the muffled sound.
Yes. Oh man, I'll have to ask him about that too, though. Hey, Ryan, does Luke just stick it in?
Christ.
It happens without warning, forcing me to close my eyes. The sensation.
Also, just gonna say that is a terrible line to come back in on, considering what we were talking about.
I just spit coffee everywhere.
Oh God.
Why am I friends with you?
The sensation creeps to every part of me, crawling under my skin and draining me little by little of any strength.
We're just gonna have to take a 5, like, this is getting ridiculous.
Before I
Listen,
know it, my hand
me
is
too.
gripping the nearby door for support. The sudden nausea drowns out their voices and what little sound there is.
I'd get nausea from sleeping with Luke too.
Mm-hmm.
Accurate.
All except for the whispers and laughters. Judging, mocking, taunting, muffled, inaudible words bearing down on me like a death sentence. They wrap around my neck and limbs, binds tightening with every syllable, every utterance.
Are we sure she wasn't an English major? Damn.
And with every draw of breath I take, they drag me down slowly, almost painfully into a bottomless abyss.
Rebecca,
On
what the fuck?
and on and on, till the sounds turn into mere distant echoes, until suddenly it shatters.
Well, what are we waiting for? Are we done here?
His voice rips through the fog like a sharp blade, and my eyes snap open. When I look to them again, it's gone.
Oh, true, it's gone.
You can head back to the car first if you want, Luke. I hope that settles everything, Rose. I don't know what Isabel's problem is, but please make sure she doesn't hurt herself. Anyway, we're looking forward to seeing you tomorrow.
Likewise, ma'am.
No shadows or dark clouds. Only amicable smiles and cordial handshakes, the usual pleasantries as Miss Cooper leads them out the mansion like a graceful host.
Becca, you are so fucking dramatic!
None of the group seems to have noticed it. And even as I force my breathing to calm down, keep my eyes trained on their backs and wait for something to happen, it doesn't come back. She returns a moment later. Gently, she closes the great doors behind her, but there's a smile on her lips and an extra skip in her step when she walks back to me. Whatever she was discussing with the group had put her in a good mood. Even she appears to not have observed anything odd. Was I just seeing things?
Glad that was over. It's been a long day. I thought for sure we're going to. Hey, are you sure you're doing okay? You look a bit green.
It's all good. I'm actually still recovering from a cold. Weather's been crazy lately.
Mm-hmm.
The irony
The weather.
The irony of Emerald Hair over here being like, you look a bit green.
That must be it. 'Cause colds cause visual and auditory hallucinations.
Of course.
The weather, this stupid cold, and the friendly warnings I'm too stubborn to listen to. As much as I hate to admit it, Isabella's right. I was, and still am a little feverish when she visited me at school this morning. The medicine helped, of course, but only some. Although it's not like I can't function, it did get better after lunch, and I was able to go through my schedule like the usual. Now I'm not so sure. However, I can't keep acting like I've seen some sort of apparition when it's anything but.
About that.
Eh, I simply must have listened to too many times to Isabella last week. My fever-muddled mind has started to confuse things. If this doesn't let up, I just need another visit to my doctor. Plain and simple. Though I do
Another.
hope it won't get worse. We did promise to watch Zachary's film together.
I know what you mean. I've been complaining to Isabel. It doesn't seem to affect her much, though. Must be because she grew up in the tropics. Anyway, shall we? She's probably hanging out with the rest of the catering staff.
Oh, I wouldn't be surprised she's there. She eats like 10 hungry men when she isn't feeling well. Lead the way.
With a small nod, she gestures for me to follow. I do so without much thought, finally putting everything in the back of my mind. And we will end this episode right here. Thank you guys for joining us, and see you next time.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Bye bye.
He used his magical powers to help and guide people, and the people loved and trusted him in return, even more than they did their own king. Curly! Probably one of the more annoying parts. Ow! Ow, 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 ow! The jealous king had Ballas apprehended and thrown into prison, where his punishment was brutal and cruel. Humans can be terrible creatures indeed. Under the extreme cruelty of the torture, Ballas's magical abilities finally ran wild. The king was engulfed in the swirl of magic and destroyed in an instant. In a single night, the kingdom that Ballas so loved and was reduced to ashen ruins.